Hello and welcome to Mostly Minnesota Music Podcast Edition. I'm Ann Tracy. I'm here with my co-host,
Heather Baker.
Yeah, yay. So we're kind of excited to be interviewing folks again. Heather, you're off gear.
What am I doing?
I'm seeing you in different time. That's okay. We're just, it's the beauty of Zoom. The beauty of Zoom. Anyways.
Did I lock up?
Yeah, but that's okay. Anyways, Mostly Minnesota Music is Ann and Heather, and we are super excited because we are today here with Crash Cuddle. And I'm going to have, Garrett was first on the call. I'll have him introduce himself first. I'll have you guys introduce yourself so people know your voices.
Hi, I'm Garrett. I play drums.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Charlie. I play guitar.
Nice. I'm super excited. I have to say that we saw you guys play at the Big Turn in Red Wing, and if I had to pick a favorite moment, we were kind of walking down, and we had just left some band for some reason we don't need to get into it, and we could hear the music, and I went like a moth to the flame, and then
That's awesome.
I think you were playing like a long room,
a short hall,
a long, whatever it was, a short hall. You were at the end, and the music and the movement and the dance. It's like,
Definitely had magnetic energy, brought us in off the street.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. We love hearing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sure do.
It was, I listened to a lot of punk music as a kid, and I was like, I could almost be a kid again.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's kind of what music does to you, like it, it allows you to sustain your age, or to be a kid again, to have that enthusiasm.
To sustain the age in your head.
Yeah. When you get your instrument on, it's like you kind of feel like you were when you first started, investigating or playing music, right? Like that same energy and that passion that like you said, like that happens in like you said, punk, right? So
yeah, it was the one moment that I was like, the whole festival was awesome. I can't think of a bad time that I had. It was, and I even think the weather was perfect. Usually the year before, I think it snowed.
Yeah.
Snowmageddon.
Yes, it did.
It just everything was perfect. But just seeing you guys, I was like, and that's what you come for. This is why I see 22 bands in a night.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's really
kind
nice.
words. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank
Now,
you.
how long have you guys been playing together? How did you get?
Gary?
I don't know how long it was, but the story is one of my favorite stories to tell. So it was.
Are you going to go through it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude, awesome.
Our mutual friend, Wesley, I went to high school with Wesley. He moved down to Mankato. Sorry about my cat. And I was living with him. Yeah, and he knew Charlie, and he said, "Hey, I have a friend's birthday that I'm going to go to tonight. You want to come with?" I said, "Sure, I'm always down." I'd been out of playing in the band for probably 8 months or so, which was the longest period of time I've ever not been in a band, quote unquote. So we get there, and Charlie is in the front yard with a hose spraying down one of his friends, screaming, "No wrestle," because he was trying to wrestle everybody, which actually is the gentleman Tom Myers, who helps us out on the road. That he was spraying down Tom Myers. So we go to his birthday.
Story.
Yeah, we go to his birthday, and it's fun. But then Wesley just says, "Charlie has a music room," and I was like, "Are you serious?" So I asked Charlie if he could show me his music room, and we ended up staying in his music room while everybody was celebrating his birthday, and we played. I played with my fingers, and he played really quietly on a guitar, and we just jammed the rest of the night at his birthday party.
It was great. Yeah.
I love that.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was like a present for both of you.
Kept jamming. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, that was my birthday is the end of February, so kind of around the same time as Big Turn, and it was nice that year. That was 2010. And so, yeah, I mean, like, it was totally warming up to spray somebody down with the hose outside.
Yeah, you'd be arrested for that some months, yeah.
But some people drink, they get to be a lot stronger than they think they are. And anyway, we were having fun. So, but it was sort of a kindred thing, like the guy I was playing with before was moving out of town and he had to stop playing. And so, I was like, man, I wish I had, if there was anything that I would want for my birthday, it would be to find somebody to play with. Because, you could play music on your own all the time and, you could write an album, but like having that relationship and that give and take with somebody and to be able to have a living moment and putting something together, there's nothing like that, so it was really awesome, like it was like 2-3 in the morning and I had just moved into town maybe about a year ago from this like 4-bedroom farmhouse like out in the sticks, Minnesota, to this trailer, right? This 3-bedroom trailer. And so it wasn't just a music room. It was like a music room. It was like a recording studio. It was like a study. It was like a painting room. You know what I mean? So like into this 8x10 room, and I managed to like fit the drums in there and fit the 3/4 stack in there, and it was cool. So we managed. It was like the place was pretty full up. It was just Garrett and I in the room, and nobody else would fit because it's just that small, So, but everything was kind of like shaken off of the shelves in the room. Every time we would play and stuff. So.
Now, did you have dance? Do you have room to dance? Did you have room to move? Because I think that'd be hard for you if you did.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't, flowing my guitar around and doing any sort of like, Ian McKay moves or anything like that. But
the foot shuffle was
enough to do a foot shuffle. Yeah. Shuffling of the foot. Yes.
Fair.
Fun
Fair.
stuff.
So you guys have played together for 10 years.
That's correct. We were thinking about having like a 10-year thing, as most bands feel that that's like something to, celebrate. But it's just like, I think we're sort of unconventional when it comes to those norms. I think, like we didn't have a release show for our album. You know what I mean? We still haven't put it out physically either. So maybe that's kind of part of it too, But we were thinking about having a show, but things got kind of pretty hectic in the world. So, there's always time. If you subscribe to all time happening at once, then there's always time.
There's always time.
Always time. I'm not going anywhere. I love playing music.
None of us are.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
You're not going anywhere either.
That's been one of the weird things about, and for folks who may listen to this a year from now, maybe 2 months from now will be different than what we have. We've been in a pandemic for 3 months now.
Well, the States have, right?
Right. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had that going on. So we've been in some measure of shutdown for 3 months, and then 2 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago now, we had the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, which was we've had, two kind of once in 100 year event. And unfortunately, the George Floyd is not a once in 100 year event, but the reaction to it has really been substantial. So it does feel, all of a sudden time does feel, you're really busy in one respect, and then you have a lot of time in other respect, and You were sort of saying that it's the nice thing about finding a bandmate is you've got someone to bounce ideas off. You can play together. Have you been able to do any of that? Have you done any of the digital stuff? Or
No, but like honestly, that's no different. We've been preparing for not being able to practice our whole time as a band, because we really are just different in that way too. Some of the songs we still play today are songs that we originally wrote or he wrote from his previous band, but we've written them differently, added parts, changed things, took things out.
Yeah,
So
sure.
it's when we do meet up, those moments are infrequent. So when we do and we play through it, it's like we're hearing it for the first time again, and we can take that moment and we can change or hear it differently or hear something that should happen that's not happening, or take something out. And Charlie's really good about saying, hey, I have this new part that I wrote for this song. Can we try it out? And I say, no, but then we do. And
I hear a lot of no from Garrett, actually.
Yeah, I'm
really
terrible
flexible.
bandmate.
Like, what's that?
I said I'm a terrible bandmate when it comes
You're
to
the only other one, you know.
Yeah. But it, like, everything that's shut down, everything is extremely unfortunate, and it's sickening in some respects. But from a band perspective, it hasn't really felt like it's changed much. I mean, we went through a period where we had 7 months off, and our first time getting our gear out of our storage locker, we took it to Radio K and played an on-the-air live set, and then we show that night.
Yeah, it was just like we didn't have any practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we just got it out of the storage. This is like we didn't have a practice space, and we were Garrett was living up here, and I was still living in Mankato, and I hadn't made the move yet. So things were sort of, you know, here and there, literally. And so yeah, we played the Radio K, and that was the first time we had played in like a good number of months. And then in the evening, we're like, okay, second show, we're playing at the Hexagon, you know, like, hey, did that go okay for you? I don't know. I mean, did that go okay for you? It was live. A lot of people heard it, you know. So if you effed up, it's like, yeah, we meant to do that. You know?
It's a new way.
Have you always operated in that sort of form in your bands? Like, kind of
we had
free?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of respects, a lot of it falls down on me, I feel like, because I sometimes just don't have the time. But like when we first started out, we were practicing once a week, and we did a lot of stuff. I mean, just practicing once a week, writing stuff, running through stuff, which was great. And I think that was really important too, because we kind of started to feel how each other composed music. There's a lot of parts of like the drum parts that I play that Charlie points out or writes that tells me, hey, this would sound cool here. Can you play that? Yeah, we could try that out. And there's some other parts like just compositionally where I say, hey, we can take that out or put that in. So like early on, it was really good to get a feel of how we worked and how we played and what our style was and how compositional we were together. And I think that really has benefited us for those times where we do meet up and we do finally play. We can really go off of what each other are feeling. I mean, it's kind of cheating to be in a two-piece too, because you don't have a lot of other heads in the room, and you're able to just go with it without, you know, really having any other opinions, which can be good and bad. But when you really know that you meld with somebody musically, it's really good.
Yeah, I have to agree with Garrett. There's a lot of the foundation of how to be able to work with each other was established a wait time ago, you know, a good bulk of writing, you know. So, you know, kind of like, yeah, I mean, that's the give and take and the definitely a positive that's worked out in the long run, you know. I think a lot of the times when we're not able to get together, it really has been because, you know, I haven't been able to drive, or Garrett moved out of town, or we didn't have a practice spot, or something like that. So it's all sort of responsive to just life kind of happening and transitioning. So we've been kind of adapting to that. We do have a practice spot now, but that's sort of not happening for a while because of the way things are. So, once again, we've like transitioned into being the band who could exist in a different format, like keychains and lunch boxes and beer koozies and, whatever. But we could probably cut another album. We have enough material for that already. So just kind of sitting on that, but it would be really great at some point in time to write some new stuff. But that lends to another comment about, where that's coming from as far as writing. I'll do a lot of writing on my own, and then kind of when we are together, kind of bring it in, with Garrett, and then we sort of form it and put it on the shelf, and then, come back the next week and put it back on the table and format it, and stuff like that. That's kind of how we worked.
Well, and to that, it's you and I, we've been playing for 10 years, and I'm talking like it's just super easy to write something, but
it's
me and
not.
Charlie we're polar opposites when it comes to how we want to write a song. He is so much more of a jam it out type person, where he'll play a phrase and he'll keep manipulating that phrase to something different. I'm on the train of like, he plays so many cool guitar riffs that we just never go back to because he forgets what he plays because we're just jamming. I'm like trying to stop practice to focus on this one cool thing that I heard, So it's kind of odd how we both love playing music with each other, because like writing and jamming out can be combative in a way, but not like angry combative.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thankfully Garrett is a really great communicator, and has a whole lot of patience, or else, I don't think the band would exist, because I think we have a good relationship when it comes to outside of playing music, and that probably one of the things that lends for us to be able to compose things, to consider that, let's try this out, worst thing can happen, it just doesn't sound good. You know what I mean? At least we tried it. So that's great. I'm happy to be playing music with Garrett for a decade. Didn't think it was going to happen, but I was like, dude, this is coming up. Wow, cool. It came up, and there it went.
Yep.
It was like, oh, hey, well, oh, cool. Like a can in a river, Just let it go, man.
I love that.
Here it comes.
Charlie, have you been writing then a lot? I know Garrett has a lot of happenings around his household right now, but with the extra time, have you been working on this or that?
Yeah, I try to run through the songs that we have just to sort of keep those chops up and to get my head into that writing space. And then every once in a while, like something will just kind of pop in your head. And, you just try to chase after that. And if it sounds like it already exists, which is a good sign, then you try to record that. So, I have like oodles and oodles of stuff that I haven't gotten back to because it's like, well, if we were getting together frequently, then it would be a membrane to move that recorded stuff through. But like it really accumulates sometimes. So we're probably sitting on like, I don't know, like 1 million riffs or something right now, Garrett.
I believe it.
Million riffs.
I believe it.
Real riffs. No, I mean
Real
like
riffs.
there's.
You want to be careful how you put those together, because it could be MILF ifs.
Garrett and I will get tattoos, and when we put our hands together, it'll say that shit
Yeah.
across the hands. Sorry, I didn't know if we could cuss. It kind of happened. No,
we
but,
were not on the radio, so really.
Oh, cool.
Work away. Yeah.
Cool. The FUC keyword.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, there's stuff from, I mean, before we even got together that ended up turning into stuff with Garrett, you know. And it's not like because it's dated, you can't use it. I mean, like, there's stuff that Bowie wrote when he was like a teenager that ended up being on later albums. It's like there's that Kirk Hammett riff on the Ride the Lightning album that he wrote when he was a teenager that just sounds like hell, you know. So, you know, if it's good, then you just gotta give life to it later on, you know. It's like, put it in the freezer.
Yeah.
You won't eat it now, but thaw it out, and then we'll make it into a dinner later on. A riff dinner. The next time we hang out with you guys, we'll be making we'll have like a cooking outfits on and stuff.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Aprons.
Sharpening the rhythm knives, the drumsticks, you know.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I don't know if this question will go anywhere or not, but it's you have a song, A Perfect Time for a Tragic Event.
Oh, I love that one. Thank you, Ann.
Yeah, I love that one, but also, hey, what you guys have in mind when you wrote that? It's given all that's going on now. I mean, I listen to it now, of course, when we're in the perfect time for a tragic event. Just
yeah. I could speak to that. Do you want to take that, Garrett?
I mean, I guess the songs never have a name until we've done the structure. And Charlie has a full list of names that we can just assign songs because we don't have anybody singing. And that one just felt like that song. And that was written during a time. Charlie, if you want to take the rest of it.
Yeah, the title came from, you know, if you notice in world events, you know, like, we're not being inundated with hurricanes all the time. You know, and it's like things ebb and flow, and it's just like, oh wow, you know, I haven't heard about anything lately. It's the perfect time for something like that to happen. So the title kind of grew out of that. But wrote that song and finished it up, and then the next day there was a huge earthquake in Japan. So it was kind of most appropriate for that. But you know what I mean? Tragedies are just part of the life structure, I guess you could say. It's unfortunate, but
and the songs, they don't have lyrics, but the songs do speak on a level. And I mean, it's one of those things where you can assign a name to something and that song becomes that something. But like, that song does have such like a softness at the beginning, and then out of nowhere it hits. And I mean, it kind of feels like the title at that point. And then there's that, then it works its way through that chaos and that loudness, and it finishes off into something completely different, like it morphs. And I feel like when there's tragic events, things do change, and they end up something completely different, but they still feel the same. So that song really does fit the name, even though we didn't really feel that right away. It's just weird how it kind of works like that sometimes.
Yeah, usually the process of, like Garrett was saying, as far as titling it, that's almost like the naming of it, like it's been, you know, born, and then we name it. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't have any kids, you know, but like, maybe is it a practice sometimes that you don't get named until you start exhibiting certain behaviors? You know what I mean? Like the song.
I can tell you that it's, you second guess naming your child the name for a long time. Like, honestly, it's like it's almost, you don't even think about it. It's like, hey, we're gonna name you this name, and this is your name, and then while they're a baby, they don't have any. I mean, they have little expressions, but they don't have any sort of thing that makes you feel that way. But then, I don't. They just turn into that person. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But the names do lend a narrative, you know, like a literal narrative, and that's kind of like, if you wanted to say, well, there's no words to it, well, there are. It's just the title of the song, So I guess that, yeah, I mean, that expresses a narrative to that. Because, like, the perfect time for a tragic event could be changing faces, but it's not, And I think it definitely couldn't be, Oni the Bull or something like that. It just doesn't sound like it. So.
It's, I love that, and do you think not having words, not having the lyrics, does it free you up? Does it feel like you're doing things one-handed? Yes to both, or?
I think not having lyrics, it was never a conscious decision to not have a singer. It just, I think in the moment of playing music with Charlie, it is exactly what I've been looking to do musically, and it just is. I don't like it. It never felt like we were doing anything like one-handed. It never felt. It never felt wrong in any way. It just always felt like this is exactly what I've always wanted to do.
Right on. I would echo that same sentiment.
I was gonna say, you can't hide behind the lyrics. It keeps you kind of on your game with your instruments too,
Yeah, we're. It's interesting that we say that, because now I'm thinking it's like, well, Garrett's hands and feet are busy when he's playing, and my hands and my feet are busy when we're playing. It's like there's no other time for really anything else. If it's like about that, hitting a pedal or whatever it is, then it's like, then I'm moving in other ways, I guess you could say.
What it really boils down to is we both can't sing.
I won that bet. No.
Can you sing? No. Can you sing? No.
I listen to a lot of music. I love punk music. You can't understand those lyrics anyway. I love experimental jazz. Noise. I mean, I don't. But just doing it, I wondered if it. When I was in college and I studied different creative writing, the thing that I weirdly found out that I loved doing was writing things like sestinas or haikus, where you were really structured to something else. Yeah. And sometimes when you don't have, it could be one-handed or that could be a crutch. Sure. I mean,
Yeah, no, totally. It was never a conscious decision really to not, or to I mean, it just never, the way that we do it feels natural. And we'll hear from people, I mean, every once in a while, like, why don't you have a singer? But like, it honestly,
or a bass player.
Yeah, or a bass player. The bass player comes up more than singer.
It does.
I could see that.
But we also hear people say that they're singing in their heads while they're listening to it. They can sing the melody to themselves internally, which is, I think, really kind of awesome.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more personalized, because then you can hear whatever the hell you want to hear. You don't have to have.
You can be the voice.
That's exactly it, So why don't you have a singer?
You're inviting us up on stage, is what I'm hearing.
No.
You can sing just to yourself.
You're inside. Where God intended.
Hey, it's happened before.
It has happened before. The people get really courageous, and you're like, "Oh man, I know what this band needs. I need to sing for it.
It needs an Edie Brickell."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that how she got her start? Yeah, it's like modern art. I mean, you can see something that's very traditional and looks, it looks like a man sitting in a chair, or you can go see some stuff. And I love to see stuff that makes you think a little bit more and think what you want.
Yeah, I would agree.
Do your own stories.
I kind of like what I heard, how you think of names for songs or whatever, like just think of cool phrases, whatever, and be like, oh, that would be a great song name. I never thought of it that way. I always thought like you put the music together and then it sort of created its name. I kind of like the other way around too. Have you always done it or thought about that way, or?
Yeah. I guess it was kind of from the school of thought that if you write something, and you need to come up with a cool title, then you'll never be short of a cool title if you have like a list of them, and like let that sort of like be the catalyst for that, but a lot of those names really kind of spark out of conversations, like Owning the Bull was about, owning your own emotions. Our emotions are only ours, right? And practicing letting go to expectations is a practice on owning your own emotions and letting those pass. Like, so you're owning your own bull, right?
And then also we have songs like Titillation Battle Station, which has no emotional effect. It just sounds really cool.
It does sound really cool.
Well, yeah, we're like, oh, well, that sounds like, that sounds the way it sounds.
And it's almost like, even like your analogy earlier, Charlie, of creating something much like having a baby and then naming it. I know I've gone through lists of baby names, whenever you try to name a baby. So it's always nice to have a list.
Yeah. Back in the day when you were running with Dillinger, they used to call you baby names Benson. Yeah. Right.
What I learned is that I would have lists of baby names, which I needed to do 3 times, but I learned never tell anyone until the deed is done.
About the names?
About the names. I have a daughter that I was going to name Clara, and my mom said, "Oh, Anne, it's going to be a redhead. Why would you name her Clara like Clarabelle, the clown?"
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I didn't know. Who's Clara?
Clarabelle the clown. The only reason I know is because she had a guest feature on Happy Days one time. It was some clown from the 50s.
Happy Days.
But I was
Sunday,
like, well,
Monday, Happy Days.
damn it, I can't call her Clara now.
Like, right? Oh, man, thanks for ruining that. Thanks, Mom.
But it is funny. You start saying names, and Garrett, maybe you have that or having that experience. You start giving names, and people will give you so much advice.
Yeah, it's fun when it's your wife that gives you the advice.
The answer is yes, dear. Then.
No. Yes, we each have veto power over names, and I was pulling hard for Oscar, but Oscar the Grouch just kept pulling up. Yeah, can't do it.
Yeah, isn't it kind of interesting how, depending on what when you live, sort of dictates your opinion over a name, right? Like,
yeah.
Anybody before Sesame Street, Oscar would have been cool, Like, my great-grandfather's name was Carol, Karol. Like, Carol, it's just like, well, that was a man's name before, sure. But, like, now it's like, oh, why are you giving your kid a female name or whatever that, So, but like Oscar, right? Like, maybe when Sesame Street is done and over with, like, nobody will know, like, who Oscar the Grouch was.
I love the name Oscar, but for me it's Oscar Wilde. So I guess you want to
tread
lightly there too.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Well, we could just spend the whole rest of the time thinking about that.
Just talk about names.
Yeah, let's just do baby name workshop.
I was going to say, we'll come up with some.
You should do that. You do a baby name workshop.
Baby name workshop, yeah. I have 3 girls, so I have a lot of boys' names that could have gone.
That's the name for
wow.
them.
Yeah. Oh. Cormac. You can have that one.
Oh, cool.
I know.
I'll bring that up.
Cormac. It's a good name.
Like Carmichael's? Like Carmichael?
It's no, Cormac. It's I was married to somebody from Ireland. It's an Irish name, and he was a big guy. And I said, we'll and my kids' last names are O'Donnell. I'm like, we just call Mac O'Donnell. That sounds like a.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
What's going on, Mac?
Mac. It's like we have a Lily.
Hey, Mac.
Lily's good too.
Lily's good,
That's great.
But it is, it is funny how the names make the, as you said, it is a really good analogy.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to talk about what you're doing for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund.
Oh yeah. Well,
Just not to totally shift, but totally shift.
oh yeah, no, that's okay. You know what I mean? That's our music kind of shifts gears that way. So, you know, that's cool. With the events of the murder of George Floyd, and I guess we kind of figured that whenever we should accrue any sales that for the rest of the year, that we would donate those to the NAACP Legal Fund, just to try to lend more currency and energy and help towards, you know, stuff like that. And I don't want to come across like, you know, we're Gary and I are, you know, bringing in the money and we're going to give away all this money. That's not it at all. Like, I don't want to get anybody wrong. But whatever amount we do accrue, that we wanted to sort of make a public contract and a pledge that we would forward that and move that currency and that energy towards that to make a positive impact for those.
I think that's awesome, and I think you know, if it were millions of dollars and you made millions of dollars off every album, that would be a different. You know, I think we all give what we can. I mean,
It's absolutely true.
I like that
Yeah.
part of it, is that you know, and something that you hold. So I especially I follow pretty closely things that are happening in that world. So I think that's fantastic. I think that.
Yeah. We're really happy to do that, for sure. You know,
No brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. The band that we have isn't like a livelihood band, you know, like Gary and I are on the road and that kind of stuff. And even if we were, we would do that.
No, it's a generous offer, and as I said, just the idea of it, I think it is amazing. Just the thought of it, and you know, try to get everybody to kind of keep things in mind, keep things in perspective.
And speaking of that,
Absolutely.
I mean, seeing Minnesota musicians doing just that. I mean, it's definitely, thankfully, we are not in the minority when it comes to that. There are so many bands pledging, and there's so much money being raised. It just goes to show you what kind of an environment that we do have, especially with the music scene here in Minnesota. It's just great to see.
I would agree. Yeah.
It's because I do some work with the Women's March. I've seen some, not for the women. I've seen money coming through different channels, not necessarily with the Women's March, where the generosity is overwhelming.
Yep.
You know,
It's really nice to see people. But it's always nice to see people coming together, but it's really nice to see people coming together and really trying to make a huge difference, you know.
it feels like things could be different this time.
It does.
There's definitely a lot more energy behind it, which is great.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna take constant pressure. You know,
and we're actually seeing that, which is amazing.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah.
I think I was at a protest earlier today, which is I can say just about any day, any week. You know, this is you know, a peaceful protest. I mean, but I think you have to keep saying something. You have to keep saying something. You know, it both at the state level and at the national level. Just we're still saying it. We're still saying it. We haven't looked away. We haven't looked away. We haven't looked away. So I think everybody just doing, and that's where I think that support of people is going to come in to it, because there's been as you said, an amazing generosity that's come. We just have to make sure that it's still being highlighted 6 months from now, a year from now. You know, as I've heard many times from the dais, it's a marathon.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be different because you see worldwide pressure, and it's not just a small amount of people trying to make some kind of change.
Yeah, and that's why I think that idea of a perfect time for a tragic event. You know, it's a time where I think of some of the protests and some of the riots and some of we were all at home. we were all at home and therefore either able to participate in it, you know, or we were at home and we were watching it, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, you're totally right. It definitely was. It wasn't a perfect time, but it definitely was a time where everybody could get out and voice what they had to say.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Hopefully it's a perfect time to pivot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've said this, I've asked my dad 3 times already, you know, hey, is this what it felt like, 1968? Summer of 1960, you know, a year that we all think, oh, so much happened that year. You know, 50 years from now, let people say, 2020, that's when things changed.
Yeah.
2020, when we were able to finally see.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
That's a good way.
Maybe that's why we had everything slow down enough where we could stop and digest it and actually make shifts and changes rather than go with our busyness.
You know, that's true. I remember when there was the last presidential election, I wanted to go to a demonstration. And I was like, you know, I could call off work, but it's like, what's done is done, you know? And then like I'm taking out the garbage and I see this huge, you know, mass of people moving down the street. I live in downtown St. Paul. And I was like, this is great. I'm like, I'm gonna get out of here and I'm gonna walk up to the to what's going on and I'm gonna say what's up, you know? So it's like there was a comment about how we're all inside and you know it's the perfect time for that in that regard. I think like at times your dedication to your livelihood and sort of sidetracks a lot of people. And like with this case, it's like, well, we're all inside, and now you poked the bear. So guess what's going to happen now? You know, like we're going to wake up. The sleeping giant wakes up. You know, you really got to put the pressure on though now and keep it consistent. You know, for sure. So, cheers to a better world.
I know, fingers crossed, you know, and I think it's, you know, it happened just as in my house, just as classes were finishing. So I think there's the amount of youth leading folks is amazing too.
Yeah.
I really like to see that. That's inspiring.
Yeah.
The youth are amassing in such a way under a banner for similar ideals to stand up and, you know, speak up for what is, you know, morally, ethically right.
Yeah. Well, now I'll call out, and I'm not even sure which one of you, or if it was maybe your marketing person. 1 o'clock, sometime when we were really in the heat of stuff happening, and when we still had the curfew, and there was the really protest borderline riot happening at the state capitol, and a friend of mine calls me at 1 o'clock in the morning to say, I think my daughter's been arrested. I think on Twitter I said, who knows how to find out? And sure enough, it was Crash Cuddle tweeted back to me and said, here's the phone number.
Who said Twitter isn't effective, you know?
At 1 o'clock in the morning, if you need something like that, I think Twitter, but I will tell you right now that giving my friends something to do. And the irony is once I did that, I thought, hey, at 12, a half an hour ago, didn't I just donate to Nerdy's fund because they were arrested in front of the Capitol? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Emily was with Nerdy. They were, you know, I had to call back and say,
wow.
I think I know there's you know, and what is Nerdy's great line? Your 7th favorite hip hop artist was also arrested at about this time. I bet.
Oh yeah, I caught wind of that. Yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, yeah. So thank you.
Oh man, I was on night watch in my apartment here, just at the crossroads. It's kind of what Tom said he's like, you got kind of a cool sniper nest up there, you know? This kind of like just after things were really getting pretty hectic. So like I was up till 4:00, just kind of watching every car at the intersection and whatever. And yeah, I saw your post. The interesting thing was, or maybe a funny thing was, there's these helicopters circling and flying.
Oh, I'm
right?
in St. Paul. Yep.
Oh yeah, and it's just like, wow, people, after seeing plenty military movies, documentaries, whatever, Rambo, you kind of know, like, oh, is that oh, okay, wow, oh man, that's a big hovercraft right there. That's really something. So I kind of stick my head out the window, looking up, and like, oh man, there it goes, whoa, put my hand out, take a picture, and like, wow, I can't see anything because it just like blends into the night. So it's like 4:00, 3:00, 4:00, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna break away, go do something really quick, and then come back to post back up. And I hear this thing, and I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be a huge helicopter, right? This is like one of those big, right? The chopper thing coming in. I was like looking up. I'm like, wow, it sounds like it's like right here. Is it gonna land on the building? What the hell's going on around here? And I'm looking, and it's getting louder, and it's getting louder, and all of a sudden, the street cleaner goes by, and that was it.
my God.
And I was like,
Awesome.
boom, like, oh man.
That's
That's it. Everybody's senses were so like, ah.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. Oh,
it's I was up at 1 a.m. because I would spend all day at the protest and then straight onto the neighborhood watch and Unicorn Riot. That is a fine blend for if you never want to sleep again. And I'm thankful I'm thankful for Unicorn Riot, and I'm thankful for, I could see somebody was, on Facebook, somebody would say a car just drove by kind of my corner, and I was like, oh, good, somebody else is watching. I don't have to, what am I gonna do? Let it.
Right.
But yeah. So for a week, we all kind of lived like that.
It made me kind of, wonder what sort of hell that people are going through around the world at the hands of, militaristic oppressors, right? That are claiming to institute, democracy and order and things as such. It's like, man, like, if this is the way, and I know it is, the way those people are living day to day in some cases, like,
Yep.
Wow, like, if there's ever going to be any sort of reason to go to war, it better be for like a damn good reason. Yeah.
Damn.
It's like, that's not cool at all. No way.
No, we did. My daughter and I ended up watching the Dairy Girls one time. It takes place in Belfast in the mid '80s, because I thought, when's the other time I ever saw a tank go down the street? Oh, when I was in Belfast in the mid '80s.
Yeah.
If they got through it, we can get through it. They're in a better place now than they were. I'm like, it's hopefully.
Yep.
So just swinging it in around again. What have you seen that's kind of given you hope? What are you hopeful for this summer? Because I find that I feel like I'm calmer now, that we had that week, and now that was a week ago. And again, not that I'm not still active, and not that I'm not, but I'm not up until 4:00 in the morning anymore.
Yeah, neither am I. That wore me the hell out. Yeah. And
Never crabbier.
Yeah. Gary?
Well, I didn't really feel that, just because I am in the suburbs. But as far as your question of what gives you hope, I think seeing the amount of youth that are active and voicing out to change the world, especially with the technology that we have today. I mean, there's never been a better supported platform for you to get your opinion out into the world. And I think that the youth of the world are able to see that there are other people who will back you up to change something. Because I think before, when you don't have a way to express yourself and feel like you're being heard, your voice becomes quieter and quieter because you can only scream for so long. But now that now that they have the ability to have somebody say, you know what, you are right, and we can change this whole world, I think that's really encouraging and really does bring me hope. And it's with technology too. It's eye-opening because I'm so privileged with my upbringing. It's not even funny. Like, and I was raised by hippies, so I've always had a very, very like open heart to people, and I never really, like, it was never in my mind that somebody could feel that much oppression, because my bubble did not extend to that. My bubble was always very comfortable. My bubble has always been very accepting. So with the amount of information that you can see now, it's kind of it's a big slap in the face to me personally, because I didn't know that people were capable of that. And it's kind of like I'm dealing with that, and also dealing with, like, there's this other side where there are kids who are able to keep at it. It's extremely encouraging. I wish I could do more. It's not like you don't have time. It's just, it's hard to find the time in my life right now to do more. But paying attention and reading and seeing and making sure that I understand exactly what's going on is what I can do for the moment. But I think it really is the youth that are able to keep their voices heard with the platforms that's given to them, and so they can just keep on screaming. I think that's really hopeful and encouraging.
I would agree, absolutely. There's a couple things that I've seen hope in, and that is how people are rallying together, under a common banner. It's not just, a group of people. There are people from a multitude of age brackets, right? There's people who are financially well off, who are not financially well off, you know what I mean? It's all people that are really expressing disgust and being in police brutality, and how it's far too long that people of color are treated equally. It's been far too long for that. What also gives me hope is the technology and being able to amass and for that information to be, cited, documented, checked, you know what I mean, for people to filter in money, to make those things happen, to help support other communities. That really gives me hope. There's been, rumblings, if people have paid attention to the police brutality that's been existing all the way when you go back to, for the longest time.
Yeah.
But one, the Standing Rock, we put together a fundraiser for that, a show. And the Philando Castile, just up here north of me, had happened, and there's been, sparks of those things happening, and it starts up, and then it kind of like dies down. But this was like the straw that broke the camel's back, for sure. And good, because people are pissed off. I'm pissed off, you know what I mean? And I think it's important not to lose that, for sure. But lastly, the youth, like, what was it? I watched this interview, and this interviewee was talking about how an education isn't an education, it's an indoctrination, and how she was teaching her kids about X, Y, and Z. And, by the time people get to be older and sort of conformed, like, you're not born a racist, You know what I mean? Like the racism is a learned behavior. You know what I mean? So for kids to be out there and be more conscientious and grouping under a banner to fight climate change, right? Or equality,
Yeah.
For Black Lives Matter, etc. That's really inspiring. That gives me hope.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, I made that so serious. Sorry.
What's
No,
that?
was good.
I made it so serious. Yeah, I think it's very much right. I think it's amazing to watch kids and I think that what you've said about indoctrination is so right, and I think that they're kind of beholden to no one.
Kids know right.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
I mean it's because Gary, I can see where you're sitting. I'm very active now. When my kids were little, I wasn't. I had stuff I had to do. I had, I did bring a group. My 3-year-old, I think, what was it, 7 and 8-year-old to the RNC demonstrations. It's not as family friendly as I thought it was going to be. But
Yeah.
you can't. It's not that, but you can't bring a kid on your hip to something like that. I mean, you just have times in your life, but kids are like, I owe no one knows me, in a good way. I mean, we're like, they are a clean slate.
Yeah, I like that youth is showing up more, because now the democratic right to amass, right, is normalized. It's not like, oh, well, these people just don't have jobs, or these people are lazy, or some kind of shit like that. It's like, well, now this normalizes, like, no, you have the right to do this. This is what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, cool. Well, now from here on out, this is going to happen if the upper echelons decide to dick off and go sideways and take advantage of people.
We're gonna let them know. Yeah,
Truly.
my favorite one, protesting always, get a job. More often than not, you're like, it's Sunday.
Yeah.
I've already worked today. I might work tonight. It's Sunday, and you're driving by.
Exactly. Like, where are you
driving
going?
a bus?
Oh, they were driving a bus yelling at you?
No, I was saying, and they're not driving a bus, so they're not working either.
Oh, yeah.
Good job. Yeah, so that's. But tell us something that you're looking forward to musically. When, do you have any plans to play soon? If you could had a magic wand, what would be your next musical?
You get to give us hope now.
Yeah, give us hope. Give us hope.
Wait. When you are in your screen, Garrett, am I above you? Because you're below me.
No.
No? Okay, cool. I'm gonna look down at you like it's a Brady Bunch thing.
Like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Well, as far as I'm looking forward to being able to play. I mean, it's been a while. I'm actually looking forward to being able to go just practice even. If I were to wave a magic wand, I want to go on the road and play a show. Those are some of my favorite shows.
Nice.
Yeah.
A little vacation.
Well, it's more stressful than a vacation. It is, but I feel like the pressure to make an impression always lets me have more fun in the moment.
Ooh. I like that.
That's good. That's good.
And I think when I'm in the moment more with music, and it's weird because I let go more when I feel like there's more pressure, because it feels, if I'm playing the same venue again and again and again to the same crowd, don't get me wrong, I love it, but that's when it starts to feel like a job.
You're
and
more
when there's
comfortable?
more comfortable, and I don't.
Yeah.
I have much more fun, and I let go more when I feel like there's more pressure. So
Like
the
a
feeling.
release? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah, 100% release. I take my shoes off. I take my glasses off. I take everything out of my pockets, Like, and my eyes are closed pretty much the whole time we play. And
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, no, it's just there's a lot of times where we'll play a whole set and it's like I close my eyes beforehand, and then when I open them back up, we're done and I don't even know what happened.
Garrett, I was going to say, if we ever see you and you're only in your boxers, it's going to be a darn good show.
One of my favorite shows actually was exactly that.
Are you serious?
Was that when you found the baby carrier?
No, that was I was really drunk that night.
Was
the
any
boxer night
hoses
was
involved from Charlie?
Yeah. No, the boxer night was Halloween. I made a huge Muppet mask with like a big pirate hat, and I wore my boxers and a Minnesota Wild sweater, and almost couldn't breathe because the Muppet hat kept closing because it was homemade, so I couldn't get enough oxygen. But that was one of my favorite shows.
There's a video of that. That was when we were still in Mankato. We were playing a Halloween show, and like I was like, aren't you gonna be too hot? He's like, no, man, check it out. I put in like breathers and stuff, you know. So we're playing, and it's just like, okay, well, Garrett knows how to do whatever he knows how to do. I shouldn't really be concerned about him, but I couldn't tell if he's like just into it or if he's like about to pass out. I was just like, I just have to let it go, you know, and just like can in the river, just let it pass.
It was both.
It was both. When we took it off, I was like, oh man, you look like you're gonna die. And he's like, I feel like I'm gonna die. But yeah, that was a good time. We had the intro and all this like Alice Cooper fog and stuff, and it was rad. Like if I could wave a magic wand, it would be to play a Halloween show. That would be great. Oh
yeah, no, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've had
a lot of fun Halloween shows.
Yeah, fun-a-ween. Yeah,
Fun-a-ween.
As far as what's on being able to get together regularly and practice, you know, the last time I saw Garrett was when we moved into our new practice spot. We hadn't had one for a while and caught wind of one opening up. So we basically moved our gear in there, locked the doors, and you still have the keys, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And we locked the doors, and that was the last time, you know, I got on the bus back this way and Garrett went his way. That was the last time I saw him. But it would be great to get back into a writing structure for sure. It'd be great to play a local show. We haven't played it locally in quite a while. As far as we have I haven't talked to you about this, but there's workings of a video for Changing Faces.
Yeah, no, didn't know that, but that sounds great.
Oh, it's gonna be super cool. It's gonna be like
cool. I'm good at that.
Really, really cool. You know,
I'm good at that. Whatever that was.
Whatever that one is, yeah. And then I have a goal of putting out our album on tape because that seems to be within reach. So those two things, to play a local show, hopefully, you know, at some point in time. But then there's like, you know, the bigger, like, wow, cool. It'd be really awesome to open up for, you know, whoever at the Palace sometime or whatever, you know, the Blues Brothers, right? We never played at the Triple Rock. So Palace would be good, you know, to follow the Blues Brothers reference.
Yeah.
Of course, you know.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff would be cool. Oh, but a realistic, you know, thing would be to play Big Turn again. You know what I mean? And to maybe, you know, support Porcupine or something like that would be rad. You know, we played with Ian and them at Mankato when he was in Story of the Sea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
We just talked to Ian a month ago, maybe?
Yeah, I caught a little bit of that.
Yeah. So that was fun. That was a good. Yeah, that would be
I was going to say we have to give him a shout out because he was the one that said we were looking at the list and he's like, I'm like, who would you go see? And he pointed to Crash Cuddle.
Oh, word.
And
I
but
forgot.
your own doing, your magical magnitude pulled us in, and then we figured out it was you. So we're like, that was a sweet
That
moment.
makes sense.
Rad.
Ian's got
Tractor
good
beam.
taste.
Huh?
Yeah. Hey, how did you come up with this name? I love the stories of people's band names, and you guys are good at just naming things in general, plus children. But what birthed Crash Cuddle?
That came out of a conversation I was in with someone, and basically, meant, the hard and soft, like a peanut M&M, right? But more along the lines of not a peanut M&M. It doesn't mean to crash. It doesn't mean to cuddle. But my interpretation of it is, almost like an androgynous Hindu god where there's a masculine and a feminine component to it, and that's really kind of it,
Oh,
I like that.
Yeah. I was going to say, you spoke of a video coming up. I like the one of I think it's 160 fists.
160-pound fists.
Oh yeah, pound. Sorry. Which
Yeah.
I like the story of the name too, but I like the video of. I was like, well, thank God Tommy was around here to help you out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tom always saves the day.
He does, except when he's getting sprayed with a hose.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask
say
earlier
shit.
what you said. Yeah. Who do you guys come up with the thought of it, or of the video, or are you just game to whatever they set you to do?
We had seen the video work from Dominic Hapt, who plays bass in Hardcore Crayons, and Dominic is he's a real good-hearted guy. So we asked him if he was interested, if he wanted to pick any song he wanted to do, and we would just be like, yeah, you could do whatever you want. And so he picked that song and then said, okay, I have this narrative. Can you do X, Y, and Z? We just basically showed up and followed his directions, and that was pretty much it. So we kind of like put the artistic intent and expression into. We practiced letting go. Canon.
Very good.
I feel like that has to be in a video sometime. Just the river with the Coca-Cola Crash Cuddle can floating down.
Yeah.
There you go.
That'd be cool. We should get stickers and then wrap cola and sell them at the next gig.
Yeah.
That'd be
There you go.
cool. And then we would get sued, right?
That part wouldn't be so cool. Yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, this tastes like Sprite. No, it's not.
Don't ask.
Yeah. For the next video, I think it's just I think I might send him some video work, some just stuff that I think would be cool as to support some sort of a narrative, but just kind of use that as a catalyst. But not sure when that'll happen, but maybe within the next month or so. Within that, maybe. Hopefully, I don't know. It took us a while to do that video, actually, but we worked it out.
If you need any stand-ins or backup singers, whatever, Anna and I are available.
I think
Perfect.
we both have white
Make
go-go
sure you
boots.
have
Just saying.
Oh, cool. Well,
Me too.
Well, maybe you have white go-go boots too. You're like, what?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, Wonder Woman 1984.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, hey, where's your crystal airplane, man?
You're just lucky we're not in person. I can have my truth-saying lariat or lasso.
Your gold
my
lasso?
gold lasso.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that the other day. Isn't that funny? Just,
With Wonder Woman's gold lasso?
I walk 10 miles a day. I get a lot of time in my own head. I was thinking, would I use it? Would I not use it?
Wait, so did you physically walk 10 miles or did you walk 10 miles?
I walked 120 in my head. It was only 10 in paper.
10 in real life, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still here.
Yeah, that's the quantum plane, man, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, that's funny.
Cool.
Funny, I'm gonna say, Heather, do you have any more questions?
I have so many. Sorry, I love
cool.
who wrote all your hang on, I gotta see what my notes are. Sorry.
No,
Just
no worries.
the explanation of what your band was. I want to know who's the writer of all your sorts, because I was like, what is this person? What does it say? Amalgamation of sounds, texture, and feels. Like what?
An amalgamation?
Yes.
That's all Charlie.
Pedigree,
I can tell
epigene.
from the face there.
Charlie.
So, yeah, it all boils down to I am one of the worst bandmates ever. Charlie literally just tells me, "Hey, we got a show this day. Can you do it?" I say yes or no, and then I show up. He seriously, without him, this band would not exist.
That is a marriage in heaven, though. I mean, when you've got because if you both wanted to do it, like, you'd be clashing.
The worst part is Charlie doesn't want to do it.
Oh.
Like, he just like, there's a lot of footwork to managing a band and finding shows and all that jazz. I mean, I can't imagine Charlie wants to. I can't speak for him, but I don't want to do it.
Oh, you mean like I wouldn't want to do that stuff? You know, I've been doing that since I was 16, you know, in South Chicago growing up. I like Garrett, playing in bars before I was 21. So it's like putting together shows with like bands that are guys that are older than you know what I mean? That are like, hey, you want to stay here? Like, I'm not even old enough to drink, man, you know? But so putting things together has been just sort of a regular thing for me, you know, and I enjoy assembling those things and resourcing and coming up with the ideas for that, making posters, you know.
Cool.
So, but, you know, as far as not wanting to do it, sometimes when you're trying to put something together and, you know, you get everybody on board and all of a sudden it's like some band like the day before decides they can't do it and you're like, oh, bullshit. You know, it's like, dude, like this is you said, yeah. I mean, and things happen, you know, we get it. Like we haven't played the Turf Club yet. You know what I mean? Like the last time we were supposed to play, like, you know, something came up. Garrett had a family emergency. We weren't able to do it. So I understand things happen. So it's just like, well, it's like, you know, the extra stress of trying to fumble everything or whatever, you know, like that gets to be really overwhelming. So over the last, you know, couple of years, like I was just like, well, I'm not going to book anything. If I'm going to like try to get shows, but like I'm not going to try to put something together just to stress my shit out, you know? So.
Yeah. And that goes, and Charlie writes a lot of really impressive things on our Facebook page, like the script and stuff, going back to your original questions.
Oh, like the bio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that just like intrigues me because you have no lyrics in our instrumental. I'm like, head explosion, what the hell that would look like if you use some of your wording for some of your music, because it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I kind of change that and edit it like every other day, actually. Like, oh, that sounds dumb. You know, like that needs to be changed. Like, oh, somebody's going to read that and be like, what the hell does this even mean? Like, this doesn't make any sense. You know, like, wow, this guy whoever's writing this can't spell worth shit, you know, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just being self-critical. Like, okay, is this right? Is this right? Just, but then it kind of goes down to like, you know, what is this band? Like, are we going to ensnare this band into a genre? You know, is that even the right way to say that? But you know, because I don't think we want to be like a post-rock band, you know? Like, I don't think we have an intention to be whatever post rock is, you know, like Garrett's roots are like in like Styx and like Journey, right? And like
Cat Stevens.
and Cat Stevens, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so like we
Yeah.
both have like some considerably different backgrounds, but we come together on some mutual ground for sure. But like, you know, like we've asked friends like, hey, like I'm trying to write this bio to like communicate to somebody what this band is. So like maybe we could play the Twin Cities Jazz Fest. That would be awesome. But like we're not a jazz band, but we are a jazz band, you know, in some regard. And it's like, well, maybe we could play Summerfest sometime. But like, I don't know, like how the hell do I even say what we are so somebody understands it, so they don't have to go through listening to an entire album, you know? So it's been really challenging for me to try to put things into words. It's probably one of the reasons why I'm just like, you know, screw this, I'm just gonna play guitar. I don't care. Like,
but I like how you chose it. It gave me more imagery, and you could tell it was very thoughtful on the words you chose. So I do, and artsy. It seems like for all the causes and stuff that your band has done, and like you said, you don't do it necessarily for money, but you give, you know, awareness and donate proceeds and whatever. So you seem very thoughtful to what and supportive to the community.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, you're good humans.
Oh, thanks.
Cool.
Yeah. And creating other good humans. I can't wait to know what name you pick out for the new one coming up.
Yeah,
I got a whole list of names, Garrett, if you need any.
Yeah, no. There's,
a whole list.
One I think there's one that we're probably going to do, but we'll see.
Yep. Anne says.
And I said, don't.
Yeah.
The one that I couldn't call Clara, her given name is Olivia Kate, and her sister couldn't say Olivia, so she went by Ua until kindergarten started. And I said, here's the deal, Pumpkin. Now's the time. You can go by Ua, you can go by Olivia. And she really was called Ua or Ua Kate. I said, or Kate. I said, you know, the neighborhood kids will forget what you were called. So she is one of my funniest, smart. She went, okay, Olivia. Olivia. Kate. Kate.
Process of elimination.
She's an amazing artist. It is so funny that I was like, that's one where you name it and you're like, well, I name it. name your child.
Right.
You know, and she ends up being called Ua or Ua Kate if she's in trouble, and then eventually, now she's called Kate.
Cool, cool Kate.
Cool Kate. Cool
I
Kate.
wanna be Kate.
Exactly. Well, now is when I wish I could say, so we'll see you.
I know.
We'll see you.
We'll see you when we see you.
We'll see you.
I was going to say, we'll see you at band practice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We had this idea that, you know, we'll get like one of those green screens, right? And then if we're able to practice at some point in time, we'll put up the green screen and then we'll publicize like a tour and then just put the background of the city behind us and call it like, you know,
That's awesome.
hey, we're playing Singapore, or you know what I mean? We're in Bismarck, North Dakota today. Yeah. And that way we don't have to tour. You know how much gas we would save? You know?
Yep.
And we just go to the practice space and it's just like time traveling, you know? So that's why, you know, maybe we'll do that, you know, teleport to these places.
And do some of them current and do time travel to get some footage from 1952.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we go back and meet my mom and, you know, get them to kiss at the Enchantment Under the Sea.
That's right, Under the Sea.
Play,
Yes.
you know,
That's awesome.
Chuck Berry songs, you know.
Yeah, you could take over. God, we should write movies. We should write movies.
I know.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. You could call up the car parts place and ask for a flux capacitor. I need a capacitor for a DeLorean. What year?
Yeah.
wasn't there only 1 year?
Yeah, how long till he got in trouble? I don't know. That's funny. That's funny.
Cool.
All right, well, Garrett, Charlie, Crash Cuddle, we will, I might have to find that Mankato Halloween show video, include that in the post so people can see that highlight.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really distorted because it's very loud in there. You know what I mean?
But it's still a fun sight to see.
Oh, yeah.
I struggle. Yeah. It's
Some of us miss being at a show where it's really loud and distorted.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm gonna get my kids stuffed animals and I'm gonna put them all around me, try to dance and listen to it.
Then green screen behind you and be in a different place.
And I'm gonna put the tallest stuffed animal in front of me, and then I'm gonna have the video of you guys playing right in front of that.
Perfect.
You'd be like, oh, hey, that's Garrett. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be the tall dude with the long hair right in front of me. Yeah.
Where was it in Mankato that you played?
It was at the What's Up Lounge. We had such
the What's Up Lounge? Are you kidding?
We had such a hard time getting in there. When I first moved to Mankato, I was in the printmaking department, and I knew this person who was booking there, and I was like, man, it'd be really cool to play here. If I can only play here, it'd be cool. I hadn't played it all in like years because I had been moving. And then it just like kind of happened, one day, and I was like, oh, this is rad. So, yeah, kind of missed that place.
I was going to say I went to college there, and that was my place to go. That was so I was like, is it still cool? Whatever. Or, to me, it was cool, but I love the What's Up Lounge. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say a few years back, we went to go see Willie Nelson at the amphitheater out there, and we parked close, so I made my girlfriend walk. I'm like, I always used to go to this bar. We have to go to
the Devil's Bar.
Like, yes.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I have nothing good to say. Go ahead.
Nothing good to say about the What's Up Lounge.
No, I do have lots of good stuff to say, but I was like, in my head, I have all these good things happening for your CD or your album release. There's so many options going on here.
Well, if you have ideas, and share them up. I think when we were just sort of the first couple years in Mankato, before we kind of ventured out of town, we would just say yes to anything and kind of feel like we might have oversaturated the What's Up, But
we played there a lot.
Yeah.
Oh.
But no. Great sound, like a really cool place. I saw Pertner Sandstone the first time. No, that was the second time I was there. But anyway, yeah.
They're good. They're a good place to go.
Better Stone.
Nice.
Well, after that fond memory lane done,
I know.
Yeah.
Again, I will say thank you. And yeah.
No, thank you.
We'll
it's been an
see
enjoyable conversation, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's super fun. Yeah.
And thank you, Heather. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thank you for taking an interest in what we're doing. And Garrett, thanks for playing music with me. I miss you very much.
Ditto.
Oh, sweet. It's not going to get better than that.
Yeah.
See you in the funny pages.
Perfect.